بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
There's a very famous hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam that encourages us to seek knowledge and find answers to the things that we don't know. The hadith has 5 things that the Imam advises for. He says, "Usikum bikhams," I advise you. And Wasiyyah is a very strong type reminder and advice, because it is the same term used for what you would call a will in English. So Wasiyyah of somebody who's dying is his will. So a Wasiyyah is used in Arabic as to say that I want you to keep this in mind even after I'm gone, to remember this. So it's a very sincere, loving, kind, fatherly type advice. So he says, I advise you of those 5 things. If you travel for those things with the camels fast and far, he says, "Darabtum alayha abat al-ibl." You know, you basically as an expression to travel far and fast. It is well worth it. The first one, he says, let none of you have hope in anyone except in your Lord. لا يرجون أحد منكم إلا ربه. Have hope in no one and nothing. Sometimes we have hope in, earlier we were discussing the job situations with some people possibly losing their job, for example, or whether or not we're going to get a certain job. Have hope in no one. Your sustainer is God, no one else. Your maintainer, the one who takes care of your affairs, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everyone else, everything else is me, the wasila, is a tool that God uses sometimes, and sometimes He takes care of things directly. The second one, let none of you fear anything except for your sins. وَلَا يَخَافَنَّ أَحَدٌ مِّنكُمْ شَيْئًا إِلَّا ذَنْبَهُ. This is important to learn a few lessons through one statement. One is that we should not fear people around us. Nobody can harm us if God does not want to allow it. If He allows it, there's a wisdom. That's one. Second is, often we hear fear God. Yes, you've heard the expression fear God. What does it mean? Is God something to be scared of? Or isn't He the most merciful? He's Arhamur Rahimin, the most merciful. You cannot even compare His mercy to anything else. His love is more than a loving mother. Loving mother, her love cannot compare to God. There's a hadith, Musa alayhi salam, he says, he asked God to show him His love for His people. So He said to him, go and see this particular scenario that He told him of. So he went and saw a young man. He was not allowed to intervene or interfere, just watch. A young man, drunk, dragging his mother out of the house into a hill, like a mountain, dragging her up on the rocky way, abruptly beating her up, and then leaving her up there, done whatever, his mother. And then he turns around, the young man turns around about to go down. His mother says to him, my beloved son, easy, you're going down, you could fall and hurt yourself. You know, this is mother. So then Musa alayhi salam, he says, Ya Rab, what have you created? What is this? He said, my love is I have created that love, and my love is way more than the love that you see displayed from that mouth. So, what does fear God mean? Fear the consequences of your actions that are set by God, His system. He says, I'm warning you of myself. Or He says in the Quran, وَيُحَذِّرُكُمُ اللَّهُ نَفْسَهُ. He's warning you of Himself. In what sense? That He set certain things in the universe, and certain actions have certain reactions. Therefore, when He's warning us of the reactions of our own actions. So He says, don't fear anything except your sins. If we don't sin, there's nothing to fear, because anything that happens is good. مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. Then the next two are regarding knowledge. He says, let none of you be ashamed if you're asked something and you don't know, to say, I don't know. One of the biggest problems that many, you said 2 rabbis, 4 opinions. It happens in Muslim communities, 10 people, 20 opinions. So it happens often. Why? Because people give opinions out of ignorance, and when they're asked, they don't say, I don't know. If they didn't know and were not ashamed to say, I don't know, you wouldn't hear all these opinions that are based on ignorance, based off ignorance rather than knowledge. And so Quran is very clear. وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ. You don't have knowledge, don't speak. Don't make a statement, don't give an opinion. Unless you state that, I think something. But even then, it's, you could be misleading people. So it's very important to not say what you don't know. You don't know? Say, I don't know. And then the Imam says, and let none of you be ashamed if you don't know something, to go and seek the knowledge. أَيَّتَعَلَّمَ. Seek the answers to whatever it is that you don't know, the questions that you don't have the answers for. Seek answers and don't remain ignorant. I often say to people, this is how I see it. Let's remain children in our curiosity. Children, they ask a lot of questions. What is this? How is this? As we grow older, we become more tolerant to things that we don't know. Children want to know everything, and when they don't know something, they ask. They're curious. It is unfortunate that we allow ourselves to not know many things and just ignore. Especially when it comes to things that would matter essentially in terms of hereafter, and in terms of things that have to do with us living a better life, more human life, more spiritual life. So it's important that we maintain that spirit of curiosity and ask the questions, find the answers. The last part, the Imam says, وَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالصَّبْرِ. You should be patient, because sabr, patience, and patience, sabr is more like patient and persistent, not just patient. He says, because sabr with regards to faith is like head with regards to the body. If a body has no head, it's useless. And if one has faith but not patient and persistent, then that's going to be useless. Because the first test that we get tested with, we will end up losing our faith because we don't have, God forbid, one could lose their faith because they don't have sabr. So we will be tested for sure, and the good news is to be given to who? As-sabirin, Bashir as-sabirin. So the ayah is very clear that we will test you with many things. لَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ. Fear, hunger, lack of finances, lack of numbers, loss of lives. We'll test you with all these things, and give good news to as-sabirin, those who are patient. And as-sabirin in this ayah is more like a title. I would call it a badge. You know, give good news to those who earn the badge of sabirin. So inshallah we have the badge of sabirin, even with regards to seeking knowledge. You know, it could be challenging. Sometimes, you know, many people decide, okay, I want to learn Quran, for example. I want to learn Arabic. I want to learn this. And then when you start, you realize it's overwhelming. It's not easy. But it requires patience and persistence, sabr. And therefore, it brings victory. There's a Farsi poem. The poet says, sabr and victory. You know, patience and patiently persistence and victory are old friends. You know, sabr, he says, and dhafar. Dhafar, both Arabic terms. You know, Farsi is full of Arabic. So he says, sabr and dhafar are old friends. Dhafar is to achieve your goal. They're old friends. Wherever you find one of them, you'll find the other. So if you find sabr, you'll find dhafar, like victory and achievement. Inshallah, we will be achieving amongst the believers with our patience and persistence, especially in seeking knowledge. Although seeking money is good, but that's only for here. So we need to focus more on seeking knowledge, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi tayyibin at-tahirin.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.